All right, guys. So we're just rolling through these episodes like always. I appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the topic that we have for today. All right, everybody, welcome back. So we're going to jump right into this one, and we're talking about finding a proofreader. Now, when I say that, really, especially if you're starting off like how I'm starting off, you want to find people who are generally close to you, or at least people who are able to deliver what you're asking of them, and also people who are willing to give you honest feedback. Now, it doesn't have to be family or friends. I know a lot of beginning writers, we like to get people that we know, like our family members, our cousins, whoever we can actually reach. Like we can just hit up on the phone. We tend to ask those people for our for help and all, but I'd argue that that's not good, or at least if you don't set up a system to where those people can actually be beneficial for you, it's not something that you should really pursue. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about going to outside sources and asking people who are not that close to you for help and what you should be looking for, how to, present yourself. And also, what we're going to do is talk about how awesome the internet is. So, with that said, let's get into it. All right, so when we're talking about asking people to proofread for us, what we're doing is we're asking people to go through our work and do edits to it, or little quick edits at least, to where we can actually gauge what the audience would be getting out of our project if we just released it. Like, a proofreader is important for a writer because they're giving you the same reactions and asking the same questions that the general audience would ask. They're basically your test readers. And so, finding a good reader is going to be a challenge if you're like me, where most of the people who I interact with are busy. They have their own lives, and I can't impose on them to write my stuff, or I'm sorry, to read my stuff. But it's one of those situations where, if you have someone who you can access who maybe is in the field of doing something like that, it would probably be more beneficial to ask them as opposed to, say, your roommate or someone who really isn't that into it. They're just kind of doing their thing. They're not going to give you the best feedback, or at least the best feedback that you can get for now. If you don't have a lot of money, you might want to aim at asking someone like a teacher or someone who you come into contact with, who you might figure out, you might find out like, oh, they like to read a lot. Those are the types of people that you're after. And so with that said, you want to take that to someone like me, where my mom is a teacher. And so I'm very lucky. She definitely has helped me a lot, especially on the lake, which if you haven't listened to, go take a listen. It's right up there near episode 10, I believe. Anyway, I was lucky, and I lucked out with her because she was willing to go through my work and mark off what she did not understand, or if something wasn't working. She definitely went through and did that, like easy. Like she just went at it, and it kind of made me feel a little wow, I'm not that great of a writer, but that's not really the case. It's not about people telling you that, oh, this was crap. It's about people telling you what the audience that you're trying to present your work to is going to tell you. It's like, okay, bro, I didn't really get this, but if you change this, then this might work. And that's just very, it's invaluable to, a writer who's trying to put out content that people are really interested in listening to or reading. You want to have people in your corner like that. If you didn't luck out in life like I did and have a mom as a teacher, might I suggest going to your local library? That might sound a little, you know, weird for this day and age where, you go out to a library as, for what? That's a library is like the one place you don't go to anymore. Most people do at least don't go. Anyway, um, you can ask around there. I'm pretty sure that there are people in a library who are willing to read your amateur work. And they might not charge you for it, but chances are you might have to pay. I don't know. Some people are really nice though. When I was doing a couple of things in the past, we would go to libraries and they were really helpful in my area at least. I don't know about your area, but you know, talking to people and asking people like that in areas where people do things that you're interested in doing, typically going to yield some decent results. I'm not saying that it's going to be a 100% a-okay kind of thing, but at least you'll get the experience in asking and networking and introducing yourself to people, and who knows, you might start building an audience out there just by asking people, hey, do you mind reading my book that I wrote? You know, yeah. If all else fails, try asking the internet. Oh yes, great internet, pour your wisdom on me. Okay, in all honesty though, you can find a lot of good resources online that can help you with the proofreading process. And I'm pretty sure you have to pay. There are a lot of scenarios that money will play a very big factor in your pursuits of putting out perfect content. But you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm pretty sure like Reddit is filled with a bunch of posts of people talking about what they would like to do for people, if they want to read or help you out. Just make a post somewhere and see who's interested. Gauge the room. I would also like to say that in that same vein, you could just proofread it yourself. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from proofreading it yourself, but you kind of lose. It's kind of biased when you do it that way. If you're not able to separate you from proofreading process, because you'll end up kind of like in an echo chamber, and you'll start saying, "Oh, this is really cool. This is my stuff. Yeah, it works." But then you'll post it, and then people are like, not really." So yeah, it would most likely be good for you to find someone else. But if you're good and skilled at separating yourself from your work and just going through proofreading by yourself, that's fine. I know that I'm not that good at proofreading my own work, so I don't do it. And that's just because I know who I am. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Wesley. Okay, so in conclusion, this one is going to be a little shorter, I think, but that's just proofreading for you. You've done all of the work for the most part, and you're going to have someone go through your project and do their edits. But remember, when you get it back and you're seeing that it wasn't as awesome as you thought it was, that doesn't mean that you suck. That just means that you now have insight into what you need to do to make your work become even better. So take the criticism, take the notes, use that to build your story, and don't resign yourself to your own little echo chamber, because those echoes end up making you feel a little depressed once that room is opened up and people can actually hear what you're saying. So yeah, don't worry about it if you're getting a lot of red marks on your work. That doesn't mean anything negative. That just means that, hey, go back, make sure your process is right, make sure your structure is right, make sure your pacing's right, make sure your spelling and your grammar is right, and send it back. If they're interested, they'll read it again for you. Um, but if you make those edits and it looks good to you, then just post it. I mean, you don't have to keep going back and forth like that unless you just really want to, or you're working on a big project and you need to have this thing like, airtight. But even then, it's like, hey, you got the thing done, so now you're just touching it up. That's the whole thing, and that's what you're after. So again, do your thing with your writing process. Do your speed drafting. Do your minor edits to yourself. Send it off, and then once you've got it, hey, you've got it, and it's great. And it's done. You can send it off to a specific editor and have it read over again and do all this other stuff. But if you're doing something like what I'm doing, like just putting stuff online, I mean, you got time for that. It's you don't have to go over it in such detail to where you're stuck in the process. Just continue to do content, continue to write, continue to have someone proofread, and then just post it, get it out, get it done. Again, that's the main goal, getting it done. So anyway, with that said, I'm gonna cut it here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for all of your support. um, I'm gonna continue to just run through these, so any comments or concerns you got, just throw them at me. Love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.